to all those who weren't here for the first half. And now everybody's going to read a second poem, either from the collection, and some people who only had one in the anthology are going to read another poem that they've written that they would like to read. So Charlie, do you want to read again, or?
No, Catherine, I won't read again. I'm quite happy to leave it to the others. But I'd just like to say how lovely it was to hear Mihak reading her poem from India. And also to just say that we had 4 poets from India enter the competition, which was really wonderful because it gives us a completely different insight into what was going on with the coronavirus. And also I think worth mentioning that as well as those 4 from India, we had poets from Italy, Canada, Luxembourg, Japan, the USA, as well as all parts of the United Kingdom taking part in the poetry competition. And we're getting a really good flavour of that this evening. Kathy.
Yeah, I think there was one from Vietnam as well, who entered, and one from China. So it was pretty good, really. It's a pretty good reach. So if people could read in the same order, please. So Maggie Wadey, you are first again.
I'm going to read a poem which isn't in the collection because I can't do an Australian accent, which my second one needed. And I should just say this is not autobiographical. It's written in the first person, but it's not autobiographical. I have only one daughter. It's called To My Daughters. One of my daughters rearranges my furniture. She arrives in the house as a whirlwind of change. She butchers the garden, cleans out my fridge. Her laugh like black lightning strikes fear in my heart. And when she leaves, she is sporting, without having asked, the dress, neatly pressed, I was planning to wear for my last part. One of my daughters is fine as gossamer, her head in the clouds, feet barely touching the ground. When she visits, she sits quite motionless, hour upon hours, revealing but slowly her magical powers to both heal and disturb, or rather annoy, with that hint of her special friendship with God, he who has long deserted me. And now she comes in, the last of my daughters, the one they accuse me of loving the most. Not so, though I certainly wish she worried me less. Dear, elusive third child, her face too like my own to be known, moving as I did, too fast through her life to make anything last. So mean with her love, she fails even to give a smile to her own reflection. But how she loves to hold a mirror up to me. I only see them this way because I'm dying, and they know it, meaning we are painfully vulnerable to one another and passionately wish either this was all over or, so much the better, that it had never started. As it is, I'll choose a different dress and ask my darling daughters to forgive.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Kerry, it's your turn now.
I'm going to read a poem. It's in response to Cumbrian artist no longer with us, called Delma Banner. If any of you have heard of him, he was married to Josephina de Vasconcelos.
Yes.
So this is called Langdale Pikes. He painted them from the sky, as if he was airborne, had wings for brushes dipped in sienna, violet, and terre verte, oiled and sweeping clean light over cairns, scree-filled tarns, herdwick-stripped grass, viper-riddled bracken. You have to stand back to view, and only then can you feel the raven wind whip your skin, mist soak your hair cool, fleeting moments of warmth on your shoulders, between clouds quick to stain crags, raw umber, the color of eagles plunging into the mouths of gills.
Could we hear from Anne Rabbit again, please?
This poem is called I Know the Truth, after Elaine Feinstein, after Marina Tsvetaeva. What people need, poets, lovers, us, is truth. We struggle with it, and for what? Dew is wet, storm is wind, night is stars, truths. You speak of will, of struggle, never give up on, never turn, never. Above is sky, under the earth. Generals sleep. Truths. I, who look to truth to speak, look now to you, no other. The earth is level, the evening quiet. We know each other. Truth.
That's beautiful. And can we hear from Katie Deutsch again, please?
This is a poem I wrote called Waking from Winter. I wander through the woods, silent and still. The trees bare, the seeds that hold the unborn flowers not yet making themselves known. The world yawns to clear its lungs of the winter frost. A bird takes flight, rattles the empty branches, flutters its wing, calls the earth with its wild voice. I'm here, I'm alive, I made it. It sings to the world all the things it almost forgot. My feet crunch through the crusted dirt, shoots rising through the earth. They will bloom in the coming months, a declaration that they are here too, triumphant flags waving amongst our feet. It begins to rain, as it often does this time of year, the raindrops rolling down my face, down my hair, my coat, soaking me, reminding me that we all survived.
Thank you, Katie. It's lovely. I made the decision when I was editing the anthology to put the under 18 age group poems and winners in among all the adult poetry, because I thought that it was of equal quality, frankly. I think we have the most amazing young poets writing, and some of them are reading to us tonight. I think it's fantastic. Right, so it's Kathy Whitaker. Kathy.
Hi, this is about my mother. She was an artist. Alchemy. You wear a faded flowered caftan bought from a market stall in Walthamstow. Drag out your easel from the cupboard under the stairs, stolen from college, one part at a time, with the help of other impoverished artists. Select boxes, neat tubes of paint nesting inside, carefully saved for from the housekeeping money. Squeeze a trail of colours onto your palette: ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine, vermilion. With a smile like a long sigh, you add linseed oil, and then you swirl your brush across the white canvas in a long curve of smoky red.
Thank you, Kathy. Dick Smith, would you like to read us another poem, please, Dick?
It's interesting how many birds there have been in the poems associated with lockdown. Here's another one. It's also a poem of grief. So, January the 26th. Starlings fly straight in spring. Oh yes, murmurations. The swerve, surge, and swirls. Now, in spring, it's straight. It's a food to hunger fling, then hunger to food and late No arcs, lapped tangents, no adept slumping dives, weighted nets of biblical quavers, but radii. From Winterview dusk-lit aerobatics swept black, loud love to the two that come and go, bicker and meet across the ring of themselves. Well, here's the nest. Kept, left ready. And have you gone somewhere to fold, not beat? And it's rare to see just one.
Marion Leaper, would you like to read next?
This is just a few of my little glimpses from lockdown. Posting a letter at dusk is a trip to another country. The box is scarlet metal, numinous with warning. And the yellow rectangle of a lamplit window is a city where I do not belong. I had forgotten mallow, alkanet, and evening primrose, how footpath flowers, like children, force colour through the grey stone of our city lives. My eyes are unused to far horizons. Wind farms, factories, railway tracks jumble together into the chatter of a lark. I mistake for builder's plastic that scarlet sea of poppies picked out by the fleeting sun.
Thank you very much, Marion. Martin, you're next.
This is page 45. Lee Woods in lockdown. This is the greenest place you can walk to in Bristol during lockdown. Alone with blackbird and wren, under the leaves arch and beaches green fire, trunks sleek as unformed girls. Distance on the city, seldom cars rumble and hiss the portway, civilization sliding sideways, denaturing, diverging. Dog walkers edge past with tight smiles, all a long way from home, on a wide walk, eyes wary, finding air in these airless times.
Thank you very much, Martin. Anne Banks, are you still with us? Anne?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. Reading to Charlotte. She tends to slip down out of sight. I wonder if she has left, bored by fawn and beaver, lion and witch. But then I spot the top of her head. I hold up a picture, black and white. She bobs up again, headphones clamped on, eyes wide, laughing. I want to reach through the screen, grab her hand tight and pull us both through. Run with her, race with the dryads and naiads, centaurs and leopards. Follow the great river downstream to Cair Paravel by the shimmering sea. I touch the glass.
Thank you, Anne. It was lovely. So many of us could only have a relationship with our children and grandchildren through the internet, through the screens. I still can't. I have family all over the place, and I can't have contact with any of them except via the screen. I'm delighted to say that Martin Halsall has managed to get back in again, and he is unmuted. So Martin, would you like to read your poem? Thank you.
This is also from the anthology, and it's called The Inheritors. Never a father, he sired the inheritors who follow him along green ways and the old ways. He leads them like Moses across the wilderness. Norman Nicholson, poet of Pebble and Mountain. He arrived early, sensing the fiery furnace that lit the ironworks to an all-night sunset, a smelting of warning. His lines were shod with need to read a rescue for creation. His tone, adagio, curlew over estuary, shadow of Old Man Mountain glimpsed from attic. He transcribed singing stones of lime and granite, words his companions, to cast a summoning to all children through whom flowed veins of ink, to draft their protests as the weather changes, following his footsteps where old nature of slag restores itself in journals of this plague year. He saw young, like himself, as refugees from war, as he gasped shadows in the sanatorium, as flying a box kite into high blue future, as he sensed stirred world breathing within his garret. He taught them, green grandfather who saw beyond them, casting his lines as angling for their futures, calling them from his lock beyond fells and walls, to march, design red banners, defy by stanza, to honour his grace days and recast his past, like his sculpted head, clear-eyed between hedging sideboards. That staring into liberation after lock and key, that miracle, turning a weather vane into a pencil.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much, Martin. And now I think, Anne Banks, you've read, and I think we're at Rich David, but in a slightly different order. Rich David.
Hello. Well, Kathleen, I think you're doing a sterling job.
Thank you.
Okay. This one is another bird poem, actually. It's called Birdlip. September rain on Rodborough Common. A great grey shrike circles, hovers like a red devil to beat and hunt, beat and hunt. She sings another song, luring prey to diving ambush. Butcher bird, a white whiskey John. The murdering pie hones down. With the shriek of a jay, the black mass hooked on black rat. Feet too weak on the wary angle, it impales upon a blackthorn. And dismembers and disembowels, shreds and strangles the choking angel in bird song, hovers like a winter angel. Love among the wetlands, nothing wild and nothing more.
Thank you, Rich. That was lovely. Pauline Yarwood.
Yep, okay. This is from the anthology as well, but it's much lighter in tone from the other one. And this was quite a way into it when we were kind of getting used to things. It's called Things Change. He'd have been over the moon, cock-a-hoop, would have put his hands on my shoulders, held me still, and told me that I looked really good, so much better. We never met without him asking why I always had my hair so short. To deflect male interest? To punish him for not seeing I was more than the way I looked? Because that first love letter was addressed to the girl with short hair? Because someone once said he couldn't believe he was sleeping with someone with hair shorter than his, and I deemed that a triumph. Some of us have just Zoomed our oldest friend. She's 89, the pale golden hair of her youth still with her. And here on week 15 of lockdown, our first conversation is the one obsessing the nation. When will we dare get our hair cut? One of us is cutting her own with nail scissors. One of us, not yet embracing grey, colours hers at home. One of us has cancelled the only appointment she could get. One of us impulsively shot into an empty barber's shop. We don't talk of the virus. We don't talk of Helen, Aphrodite, Isis, even of Samson. We know hair speaks. We know its power. So, Dad, look, at last, scared of dying, I'm letting my hair grow. Thank you.
Mine hasn't been cut for a year.
Mine neither. It's still going on. And it was so short before. Thank you.
That definitely struck a chord. Thank you, Pauline. Mike Smith, PhD in me.
Here's the other one that was in the anthology. Cutting firewood in a heat wave. I'm sawing old logs left to rot in next door's field for years. He's bored with wood-burning stoves. Besides, it was only ever a game. Dragged from the grass under hedgerow trees, it's dried over time, and now in this late May heat is light as paper. And the sawn lengths, judged by hand and eye to fit the stove's diagonal at least, lift like papyrus scrolls, I think. Nothing in them, though, to be saved for future generations, nothing to be suppressed by flames. I'll scatter their ash when the time comes, at the feet of my apple trees.
I remember that heat wave. I'm quite longing for it to come back again at the moment. It's been very chilly up here in the Lake District. Now, Nick Grant, are you still with us?
Still here, Kathleen, still here. This is my second poem from the anthology. We've had Apollo, so the name of gender balance. This is to Demeter, who is goddess of the harvest, and this is my plucky shortlister poem, I have to say. Demeter. This is labour, not the kind that called my grandfather from bed to cold water to yard, into the weak sun, saying, I need 2 men across the fields and down the orchard path to mend the high fence, driving piles all day into the soft and stony ground. I could do that by habit, by need, by my body seasoning each month to suit necessity. This is the labour of care, nursing weeds from their uninvited clutch, finding the patch where the sun will stay longest and strongest, holding a tiny seed straggling with germination, pinching the damp earth close about a stalk, watering when there is none. Goddess, this goes against my grain, not solving, not acting, not linking 2 unmet minds with sly and unimpeachable language. This is difficult for me. Let me be tender and slow, willing to wait for bloom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. And now, Mehak, it's time.
Hello everybody. This time, my poem depicts how I spent my lockdown in living in my cozy spot. My cozy spot at home. My house is akin to a beautiful cohort of my life, as it offers me a cozy spot in my pleasing abode. My cozy spot is my study room, as it connects me to the authentic space in me. I behold the unbroken sky through the ajar window. It is a place where I undress my costume, and I can calmly sit and take all my extensive decisions in a very peaceful location. It makes me feel sitting on a throne. It gives me the plethora of fun that I want. And that's the thing to flaunt. It is fun talking to myself alone in the world that's unknown. During the lockdown, I study and roam inside my room as a clown. My room is everything for me, including a free and a ghost town. I would celebrate all days inside my room, including the school meetings on Zoom. I would see all the horror films sitting on my chair and would pray to God and try never to scare. I would always cry when I used to be sad because that was the time when I was performing bad. At last, I would say that you can also have a cozy spot in which all your relations are tied in a knot. To think is just to think a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mehak. And I hope that you're soon released. You're soon released from lockdown and can go back to schools and colleges. Hopefully, I think next week, the end of next week.
Yeah, we have started going to schools.
Oh, right. You've already started.
Yeah, and we are gonna have exams in our schools only, offline exams.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I thought most of them had been cancelled, but obviously not everyone is so lucky. Now, Deborah Maccabee, and you have the most impressive set of bookshelves behind you, I must admit. This is one of the delights of Zoom.
I've very recently written the poem about my uncle who very sadly died on February the 10th at the age of 96. And it's remarkable that Kathy read a poem about her mother who was an artist, and my uncle was an artist in the 1960s. He was an abstract expressionist artist, but very tragically, his career was cut short by blindness in the 1970s. He came from a very Orthodox Jewish family, but he became an atheist and a communist and a bohemian artist. So I wrote this poem after he died on February the 10th. To my uncle, the artist David Maccabee. Escaped from orthodoxy, you excelled in representational portraiture until the storm of 60s abstract expressionism. You rebelled against the tyranny of traditional form. You were an artist of spring, your green spring equinox, your golden rite of spring, Stravinsky's savage sacrifice as seen on canvas, all ablaze and glittering. Names like creation, Genesis, constellation, bright jewel colors, shapes that danced and swirled, wild cosmic energies in liberation, yet poised to form a new and better world. And now from locked down world, your spirit frees itself. From broken body, you've escaped. You mingle with the stardust that you shaped, dancing amid dynamic energies. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And now we've come to the last poet, Susan Cartwright-Smith.
Hello. Well, it's the last poem that appears in the collection as well. So I hope it's worth the wait. It's called Renewal. Scraping back dead comfrey revealed a crumbling legacy and ampersanding worms whose naked flesh surprised us all. And clipping back the rosemary, let cowslips dance and Easter roses gaze to heaven. I hack into woody stems of lavender, sprawled like weathered legs across emerging peony puckered lips, and pick the stems of life. And with an eye to next year, plunge them into waiting earth. Hope, a green-fingered goddess looking onward. Thank you.
And can I ask you all to unmute yourselves, please, and give everybody a round of applause, because I think that's been absolutely fantastic. So please unmute yourselves and let's all clap each other. Thank you, everybody. I think that was absolutely wonderful. It's funny, you read the poem on a page, but then the poet reads it and you hear something else, you hear something more. And tonight has been absolutely fantastic for me as editor, having read all these poems and then to listen to them has been just terrific. And I hope you've all enjoyed it.
So thank you, Kathleen, for all your hard work and for hosting tonight. It's fantastic what you've done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen. Lovely to see people's faces and hear their voices. Lovely.
It is. It's lovely to see people and see real people. I think this has been an amazing achievement for everybody, because I think what was envisaged in the beginning was maybe just a small local poetry competition, something to pass the time during lockdown, help everybody through a difficult time. And it just grew and grew until it became international. And then we've got the reading tonight and we've got the anthology and all sorts of other things going on, which I think is just amazing. And I want to say thank you to Charlie and the Norman Nicholson Society for organising all this, for having the idea and organising it. It's been brilliant. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you very much. I think that what Norman Nicholson showed us, and Martin referred to Norman, and what he bequeathed to us in his second poem was an ability to look at grim situations and turn them into something of quality, something worth remembering. Norman himself was locked down. He was locked down in a sanatorium for the best part of 2 years in the same room, forbidden from speaking even, because his voice box had to recover from the effects of TB. And he turned that to advantage. He learned so much, he absorbed so much, and then in later life, he was able to reproduce the most wonderful poetry. And I think what happened during the lockdown was that it threw us back onto our own resources, but it also opened our eyes and our imaginations to express what we were thinking. And I thought Deborah's poem about the Violet Carpenter bee actually said so much. That, for me, said so much about what we went through, about the contrast between the bee being able to escape, and there we were on the other side of the glass, and the glass was closed. So I think we just happened to come along with this competition idea at the right time, and it tapped into people's appetite, people's determination to say something at a time when we were actually being forbidden from doing so much. So I'm pleased it had that impact.
You've been fantastic, everyone, and a lovely audience as well. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much indeed.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.